Hello and welcome to the channel Xcode Bill. My name is Bill Yengo. If you are new to coding or you want to learn JavaScript, Nodejs, TypeScript, React, then you're definitely in the right place. Now, my objective of the channel in general is not just to present you with gimmicks, but to actually take you on a journey of learning how to become an actual software developer. In this video, we will dive a little bit into JavaScript basics, and we will also get to write our first code together. JavaScript is one of the most popular languages for the web. Whether you want to build websites, web apps, you want to build mobile applications, backend servers, learning JavaScript is definitely the perfect starting point. Now, we'll cover basic syntax, we'll set up our development environment, and we'll write a very simple program. Now, we're going to answer some very basic questions. What is JavaScript? And we will try to understand its role in web development. We're also going to set up our first development environment. Now, JavaScript is structured very simply. No matter how you look at it, no matter what framework you're using, the basics are HTML, which offers you the structure, CSS, which offers you styling, and the JavaScript, which you use for interactivity. The JavaScript is being injected to do things like event handling and also DOM manipulation. Now, JavaScript runs in two separate environments, if you can put it that way. It either runs in the browser or outside of the browser. Remember that JavaScript was initially created to run on the browser, and this it runs on what is known as an engine. For Chrome, this is the V8 engine. I know we're not talking about cars, and while in Firefox it uses an engine called a Spider Monkey. On the browser, JavaScript is used for things like form validation, interactive buttons, or interacting with buttons, or just creating animations. Outside of the browser, we have things like Nodejs for server-side development, and then for mobile apps, we have things like React Native and Electron for desktop applications. Now, why is JavaScript so popular? Now, JavaScript is easy to learn for beginners, and though the language is very huge in terms of the frameworks and all that, but also it provides an easy language. It provides an easy way, or basically it's an easy language to learn, arguably. It's also very versatile in the sense that you can also use it to build things like front-end, back-end, or full-stack applications. It has a huge ecosystem and has a huge community, which means that if you run into problems, you always have someone who has had that problem and can be able to help you out in order to solve it. Examples of frameworks or libraries that can use to develop with JavaScript are things like React, Angular, and Vue.js for the front end, and you have Node.js, Express, Nest.js for the back end. Now, JavaScript started very low. Over time, the language has matured, and it's not just used for dummy things on the browser. We can now use it to do things like autocomplete, that's interacting with forms. We can use it to create a real-time updates or applications using things like WebSockets or Socket.io, which is built on WebSockets. We also have single-page applications that give you the feeling of navigating through multiple pages. Gmail is a very good example of using single-page applications. Web development is very significant with JavaScript in the sense that no matter what framework or language you're using, if you are going to do web development, then you will one way or the other interact with JavaScript. So it's a very good place to start, and this helps you to be very, very useful. Now, we are going to go ahead and set up our development environment, and there's a key question. Back in the days, we used tools like Vim, where there are other code editors, which were very dark screen in a way. But why do we have to set up this development environment? Setting up a development environment offers you access to better coding experience. It gives you development tools or debugging tools, and also it just increases your efficiency generally. Now, the tools that you will need initially at the very beginning are things like VSCode. You might want to install extensions in VSCode like ESLint, Prettier, which is a code formatter. With the browser, I think you will need a browser like Chrome or Firefox, which offer you DevTools, like the console tab, and you have access to be able to inspect the elements. Now, we're just going to go ahead and install Nodejs. And now what you want to do is you want to grab a browser and you want to go to Google and you want to search Nodejs. You can go to the official documentation for that. You can also go to the official documentation for VS Code as well. Once you do install Nodejs, it comes with npm and node, and in order to verify that, you can have a terminal and you can do things like node version. At the moment we're using version 22.12. If you're watching this in the future, then that might change. You can also use things like npm version to see what version of npm you're going to use. So we now have a folder and we're going to go ahead and say make directory, and we'll call that intro. We'll cd into intro, and then we'll do code dot. This runs VS Code in that particular folder. Now that we have that here, you can go up to terminal, a new terminal, in order to open this terminal here. So we're going to do that. Let's get rid of this and let's use this code terminal here. So before we go any further, it's always great to install a package called live server. So what you're going to do is you're going to say npm install -g, which means you want to install that globally, which should be live server. I already have that installed. This will help us in the development process to be able to see our code as we write it. So once you have that installed, let's go ahead and do touch index.js, index.css, index.html. Now once you have these three installed, remember the structure that we had: HTML for structure, CSS for styling, and JavaScript for DOM manipulation. So once you have that, we're going to do shift exclamation, which basically gives us a little code snippet. We're going to call this intro. Let's do a live server, and then we place a dot. This will run a live server. Yes, so let's put this on the side. Let's do that. Let's open all three files. So we have our page here, and then we now go into index.html, and then we will start by doing h1 tag, and we'll give it a class of title hello stranger. So the live server just helps us to do a code reload. So let's go ahead and link the CSS. So let's say link, and then put /index.css. Now we get into our index.css. We can say body, and then we can say a background color of whatever this is, aqua. So give us a blue background. So basically that is connecting your HTML to your CSS. Now in order to put in our JavaScript, we have to go back to our index.html, and we come at the bottom of the page and we say script, and then we put in a source, and this is going to be /index.js. In order to verify that, let's get into our file, index.js. Let's right click on the browser, we click inspect. So once we do inspect, we notice that we can be able to inspect our elements. We can go into the body, we have the script here, we have our h1 tag, and if we go to the console, whatever we log in the JS file, so let's do console log world, you notice that is printed out on the console here. So what we want to do is we want to be able to change this text. So we're going to come up here and we'll say const title is equals to document query selector, and we want to select the dot title, and we want to have a const a message of equals to hello Bill Diego, so we're no longer a stranger. And then we're going to use a set timeout, which takes a function and runs that after a period of 1 second, which is 1000 milliseconds. And then we're going to say title dot text content is going to be equals to message. If you notice, after 1 second, our page changes from hello stranger to hello Bill. If you refresh that after 1 second, that change is made. Now, we spoke earlier about extensions. In order to install extensions, you come to the left tab here, you have extensions, you click here, and then you can search here Prettier, for instance. And once you have that, you have Prettier by VS Prettier here, and then you can install it. I already have that installed, so you can go ahead and install it. This helps with the code formatting. Now, the last thing we're going to do is going to push code up to our GitHub. This is the entire development process when you're working in a team. So we're going to go ahead. I already have installed the SSH keys on my laptop and also on GitHub. If you want to see how to do that, I can create a separate video on how to create your SSH keys and then put them on GitHub. But without much, so you can read on that on how to do that. So let's go ahead and create a new repository, and then we're going to call that YouTube. So this is where we're going to place our YouTube videos. I think let's call that YouTube intro. We might change that in the future, but if I do change it, I'm going to leave a link in the bio. So we're going to say intro to JavaScript, and then we're going to make that public. So let's go ahead and create the directory. So what we want to do is that when you develop code locally, you want to be able to push that into a repository so that your friends, your colleagues can download that code and play around with it. So what you want to do is you want to create a README file. It's completely optional. So you can do an echo YouTube intro into a readme.md file. We do a Control-B, we notice that this file is created. And the next thing we do is do a git init, which basically initialize a Git repository locally. And then we say git add. All means we want to add all the files, but let's go ahead and do a git stages. Everything is in red, which means it's not yet committed or staged. We say git add all, and then we do a git stages again. Because everything is now in green, we do a git commit. We'll say our first commit. And once we have that, we now create a branch, git branch main, and then let's add our remote origin. Once we have that, we now do a git push from main into the origin. And once we do that, we now refresh our page here, and we will notice that our code is now available here. Yeah. I just started the channel and I have a lot of things that I would like to put out in the channel. I would really love to get a promotion from you guys, and in order to do that, please do not forget to like the video. Please do subscribe and also leave a comment at the bottom. Hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye bye.